Welcome to yet another exciting episode of your favorite show, Sports Business with Veronica, where we discuss all things business, trying to understand and dissect the transactions that take place in sport. Joining me today is the Rugby Union of Zimbabwe CEO, Mr. Sifiso Made. Welcome to the show, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too in this 2025.
Yeah, definitely. New year, new season.
Yes,
everything
indeed.
new.
Excellent.
Okay. Yeah, maybe for a start, if you could kindly take us through the current state of rugby in Zimbabwe.
Yes, great. Thank you very much. Look, we are very much a going concern as rugby. As you know, we're coming off a very successful 2024 season, especially for our males and our junior girls. So having said that then, this year we'll bring into play the World Rugby qualification process. And as rugby, we are assuring Zimbabwe that we are going to put our best foot forward and ensure that our men, our Sables, then qualify for the 2027 World Cup, which will be held in Australia. Added to that, as you know, we have our Cheetahs, which is our sevens, which is we're building yet again this year with the hope that we will improve on our seeding. We have been to the last World Cup, but would like to obviously now go on to the circuit, which is really the seventh circuit, and that is a plan in place. Maybe not in the next 2 years, but hopefully in the next 3 or 4 years we will be a permanent fixture there. And then, as you know, our girl child, especially our under 18 girls, continue to surpass what the men are doing, always playing the provincial tournaments in South Africa. We hope to go back there again this year and fulfill our mandate of being one of the top playing girls nations within Africa, if not Southern Africa.
Okay.
Our schools league continues to be a backbone where we do get a lot of our players, bearing in mind that Zimbabwe Rugby is an amateur union as opposed to a semi or professional union.
Yes.
But like I said to you, we have many provinces playing the game. Our leagues have already started in essence with under 20s, because we try and capture them before they go to varsity. And then our main season obviously will start around about March going forward. Our women's sevens, yet again, have disappointed in the past few years, but that is not due to a lack of effort. It is more about game time with them, and that is what we hope we'll be able to achieve this year. And of course, with more funding, allow them to enter more tournaments where they will only get better.
Okay. As for ladies, when you say it's more about game time for them, are we saying the women's league is not that active, or it's an issue of international exposure?
It's a mixture of both. You must realize that when girls leave high school, there are a lot of issues, the social issues that come into play. The fact that they're going to varsity, the fact that they now then obviously decide to either get married, commitments within the family are more so now that they are no longer at home. And of course trying to protect the girl child. So for example, as a semi-pro or amateur union, asking girls to come out and train from 6 till 8 in the evening is not something that we encourage. So the numbers dwindle because school is mandatory, but then after that, club level, it is not as mandatory. So that's the one aspect of it. The other aspect is that, especially with sevens, is you need to be in many tournaments in order for you to improve, so that you're meeting the likes of Kenya, Uganda on a more regular basis, and then that's the only way you can improve. Okay. Yeah, so in that aspect you would say it's both, and we need more clubs to be playing the version. When I'm talking about sevens, it's different from 15s. Yes. But the 15th season is quite vibrant. Yes. We just need more teams. I mean, you've got clubs like Zimbiru who have come out. You've got your traditional old Hararians, Harare Sports Club, or Georgians. In Chitungwiza, you've got obviously a club that's there that does well with their women. And in Bulawayo, the same thing. We do have at least 4 clubs that are playing with women's there. And of course, we're trying to encourage provinces like Mutare and Mashringo to come on board and start to play women's rugby.
Okay. And looking at generalizing all that you have said, it shows that Rugby Union of Zimbabwe is actually very busy. But when we look at, in terms of sponsorship, maybe an update of how many sponsors do you have? Are you fully covered on everything that you wish to, or on your entire calendar, or a lot of gaps still need to be fitted?
Well, let me put it this way. As a developing union, We do get a grant from our international federation, which is World Rugby. However, that grant is meant to cater for all aspects of rugby, apart from performance. So, in other words, your grassroots, your women's, your administration, your training education, all that is meant to be covered within the grant. It's not a lot of money. So what we decided to do years back was, as a union, was to franchise out our teams. So in other words, we have fundraising committees that cater for the needs of our high performance teams. So our under 20, for example, boys will have, it's like a franchise basis. The Sables, franchise based. The Cheetahs, franchise based. That sort of thing. So in terms of training that our sponsors, we do have several traditional sponsors. I don't know if I can mention them by name or so for example, you've got your Nedbanks that will always support us. You've got Delta that will always reach to support us. You've got Mukuru that will always come on board. You then have Coral Soft. You then have NutriActive, Concha. These are all sponsors that are traditional towards rugby, but specific to the teams that they are more inclined to want to get mileage from.
Yes.
So those are some of the sponsors. But in terms of fulfilling our mandate, we always fulfill our mandate. Yes. We never have enough money, but the little that we do get, we always stretch it as far as we can.
Okay. In your own understanding, sir, how best do you define sports business? And as Rugby Union of Zimbabwe, how do you gauge yourselves in terms of business?
Well, in terms of business, like I said to you, we always try to ensure that we look out for companies that will derive value from us, and we as well will get mutual beneficial relationships with syndicates with them. It has to be run like a business. If you don't run sport like a business, then we're falling far behind. Anywhere you go to South Africa, for example, where it is a tool. Let me just give you an example. For South Africa, for example, they have their own travel agency. So you never have costs incurred for players that are playing outside their country when bringing them back. You've got hotel partners. So we have to look at rugby as a business, so to say. If we don't do that and only wait for the grant application, we will not go to any World Cup or any competition that will be of benefit or merit to us. So we are conscious about who we target or who we associate with, especially now with the added advantage of us looking more into wellness, as well as ensuring that we're safeguarding a lot of our players. So financial institutions are always good for us because they are a given and they have the spend that we look at. In terms of individual companies, yes, great, we want to make a mark, but we must make sure that it's beneficial to both of us. And of course, with our anti-drug campaigns, there are certain companies that we will try to avoid partnering with, only because socially it is not quite acceptable to be having a tobacco company, for example, sponsoring rugby.
Okay. And then looking at the 2019 and the 2023 campaign, we saw good support coming for rugby. But the issue of accounts, we have never seen Rugby Union of Zimbabwe's accounts, the audit reports ever coming public. What could be your reason?
So I'm actually surprised you're saying not public. We have an AGM each and every year. Yes. We do publicize our audited financial statements. Yes, we've just completed our 2023, and we're starting on our 2024. I don't really know whether this question was really directed from an individual, but we do have our accounts. We're a public office. Yes. We've got all the records dating back to 2019 in terms of our audited financial statements. So you're more than welcome to access them should you need to, and they are available.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sure I'll come knocking one day.
Yeah, please do, yes.
Okay. And also the Rugby Union, the last time I checked, you did not have a treasurer. How far have you gone in terms of trying to have that position covered?
Well, the position, according to Constitution, is an honorary position. Yeah. It is not a full-time position. What we needed when we had the last board meeting, which was in December, was that we need more of an accountant, someone who would do the day-to-day workings of the union. And then a treasurer really is the one who presents at AGMs and board meetings. So we have since advertised for the accountant's position. We're in the process of doing our due diligence and shortlisting the candidates. And very soon you'll find that we'll be announcing that a candidate that would have fulfilled the post will be taking on the job of being the accountant for ZRU.
Okay. And like you mentioned earlier, that you do receive a grant from your Supreme Governing Board, but definitely that's not enough for you to be able to do whatever you want to do throughout the season. So when we look at local sponsorship, do you just receive monetary sponsorship, or sometimes you even do barter trade for services?
Yes, we do get barter trades. It's not just monetary aspect of it. We do have relationships that are more in tune to value in kind as opposed to actual monetary value, or just the monetary side of things.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And also the likes of the Craven Week as a sustainable development project, seeing that it's dependent on parental support, how much do you feel like it's really sustainable? Because depending on parents, which means nasi vakati mari, it might be a problem to you guys. So how do you look at that?
Well, remember that the school section runs on its own, like a franchise system, as I said. Yes, is it sustainable? Maybe not in the long term. However, we need to create our own Craven Week. Yes. But you also then want to allow the boys and girls opportunity to be exposed, because once you leave school, it's a big world out there.
Yes.
So that opportunity for them to leave school knowing that they have represented their country is important. So unless we get another vehicle where these kids can actually represent their country at that age group, then that's only then can we talk about maybe moving away from Craven Week. And yet again, remember that it's not just based on parents. The system itself does cater for that. They do have budgets for it. However, they will fluctuate. And of course, parents will always be asked to contribute where, meaningfully employed. So for example, out of the 23 players that go, possibly 17 will have the means to be able to send their kids.
Yes.
But maybe the other 8 or so might not be. So you don't want to make it this way to say Veronica can't go.
Yes.
So parents then actually offer themselves to say, well, let us also look at how best we can support those that are not able to meet or can afford to attend Craven Week.
Yes.
But as a union, we'll always alert them of budgets, let them know what is available in the kitty, and then where we can chip in, we will also do so.
Okay. And also looking at the setup of rugby in schools, you discover that most of the schools, the Group A schools, are the ones that have rugby in their schools. But ukaenda kumageto, even the rural areas, the marginalized areas, and zive kuti aisati yasvika ikoko here kana kuti it's a matter of them not having the personnel, the qualified personnel and the resources. How much as a union are you doing to ensure kuti your game goes out there?
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Look, it's very interesting that it's unknown, but we're actually doing a lot in our non-traditional rugby playing areas. Kumageto kwamurutaura ikoko.
Yes.
Tandirizotaura tine vehicle inoitwa Get Into Rugby. In fact, there are 2 arms. Pane Get Into Rugby, which is really the first step in ensuring that we want kids to be able to try the game of rugby, play the game of rugby, and then stay in the game of rugby. So it's try, play, stay over a period of 12 years. We've already introduced that into all the provinces in Zimbabwe. We actually have a training manager who is going around the country, making sure that teachers have the relevant requisite qualification, which is a level 1. And then we're encouraging those teachers to then grab kids that have been going into this program of Getting to Rugby to encourage them to actually play the sport of rugby. Now, Getting to Rugby stage, it is very non-contact, and we're starting that from as early as 4-5 years. We also have Tag Rugby Trust, who is part of us, and they too have the similar vehicle of ensuring that kids enjoy the game of rugby. I can tell you that across the board, you're talking of playing Matabililand North, Matabililand South, Mashonaland Central, Manicaland. So this program is up and running. And has been for several years.
Yes.
We as a union, what we do is we give them the initial kit of balls and cones to ensure that they have something to start with. But we're also educating then the teachers so that they understand the rules, regulations, the basic regulations of the sport. So that is actually happening and has been happening for several years now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's great if we're going to see the game coming from kumaroots chaiko chaiko atofunga kuti kwakasara kwacho ikoko, having that game there, because I believe that there is a lot of talent there, but it just remains untapped because akusvike the game.
And Nibabo, the best example I can give you is Sao Mani out in Manicaland.
Yes.
They have produced probably the best girls rugby personalities that we've seen or have seen in my tenure.
Yes.
And it is not always about us going out there. Imi mkangune ndrimu kwa mnuzuo kuda kudevelopa rugby. Tipe mazitacho. Tina, a director of development, who is also the head in charge of secondary schools.
Yes.
We also have a director who is the head in charge of primary schools. Mukawazivisa iwawo, they are pushing at the moment kuti wana wese muzvikoro izvozvo zvitambwe rugby. Saka wariko wabate ngazizwa wabate zvikoro muyo kuunion kana open grade muyo kuunion tinobatsira zvakare. But I can tell you, I can give you many success stories and rutambwe ikoko. But where kwatiri zvo zvakare musangomira kuti tichauya kwamuri imi kamunezi kuti pane need pane area. I know I've been to Glenora and ndaitombono coach ikoko ichivabatsira get into rugby. So Mabuku, same thing. We've got people who played there. So yet again, come to us. Let us know. The only way, once you let us know, we will then intervene and ensure that we put a program together for those areas.
Okay. And if you look across sport codes, there's that issue of girls being less remunerated compared to boys. When we come to rugby, Kwakamira say in terms of remuneration and how much are you doing to try and bring the game at par when it comes to finances?
The world over, things are changing to try and have equilibrium so that men are paid or remunerated the same as females. But yet again, this is now derived from performance as well as game time that is available. Like I said before, we work and operate on a grant system.
Yes.
And that grant system can only stretch so far. Whereas for the men's teams, they are sponsored because they've been at it a long while and they're performing well. For example, our Sables, they are the #1 champions in Africa.
Yes.
So obviously companies and people want to come.
Everyone wants to be
was associated with them.
Yes.
Whereas the girls did not do so well. For example, at the Africa Cup, they were 9th out of 12th. Yes. So the remuneration really comes from us and well wishes. So you can only go so far. So as much as we'd like to get it at par, performance is something that we need to look at. Once we correct that, I guarantee you that they will be remunerated directly the same. But we do try and we do keep them abreast of where we are.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's never easy, but it is something that we always are cognizant of, and it's something that we constantly work to strive to make sure that we get them or get them to as close as to the men as possible.
Okay. And you were talking about the net banks and other corporates that bring sponsorship to rugby. If maybe you could try to make us understand how do you package your products in such a way that they attract that much sponsorship from the corporates there? Because when you look at other sport codes, akutorina sponsorship zvachose. So what is it that you feel that you're doing right? Chirikuita kuti sponsors are something that other sport codes can probably learn from you guys?
It's exposure. It's what you're doing right now. Giving us airtime. Yes. And then, of course, having leagues where a sponsor knows that my target market is, A, B, C, D. Yes. And then we create tournaments around that. So locally, you'll find that in Harare, Bulawayo, Masvingo, Manicaland, we have then game time. Not only with locals, but we invite teams like our neighbors Botswana, Zambia, and that then gives exposure to a lot of the companies that are either wholly domestic or are branching out into the regional sector. So that is mainly the main thrust. And then having people that target individuals within companies that have either rugby or sport affiliated people, it always helps. So when I come to you, Veronica, I know you're a sport person.
Yes.
If I come to you, give me a listening ear. Whereas other companies are startups, they might think, well, not quite yet.
Yes.
So you've got to really target those. But we are trying our level best in ensuring that our leagues are fulfilled, they are played. When we say we'll play them, games are played. And we then maximize on that exposure for, like I said, from the school children right up to open age grade.
So you guys, do you have a specific marketing department? Rokutongomirira kumarketa your game out there and finding sponsorship?
At the moment, not currently, but it's within our 4-year plan. So by 2027, we will have that in place.
Okay.
Yeah. But currently, no, we don't have. But like I said to you, it is work in progress.
Okay. And we used to have an coach called schools rugby. Now we are kunzimwana.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe if you could take us how that came to being, how that format came to being, and over the years we have changed sponsors, muchita rebrand muchienda. Was this part of the plan, or ingori nyaya yekuti kana sponsor apula out, then you have to find a way to go forth? Kana kuti it was zvinenge zviri zvekuti tataurana 2 years, after 2 years it's the next person coming in to be the sponsor?
Majority of it has always been contractual, so it always has been about 3 years, or whatever the case may be, especially from the last era. One is now coming; they took it over, and remember that that festival is the developmental festival.
Yes.
We earlier highlighted the fact that I know you highlighted the fact that the Group A schools seem to play more rugby. The Group B schools, or less traditional schools, find themselves afforded 3 games at that tournament.
Yes.
But then thereafter, because the school system in the schools will not allow or does not assist in funding schools to play a regular fixture calendar, so it's by arrangement.
Yes.
So with Mwana coming in, it is a great way of us to show the number of schools that actually play rugby in Zimbabwe to the world, which is over at least, I know, over 100 schools that play rugby. But it gives the kids an opportunity to be scouted or seen by our technical department.
Yes.
And they play 3 games in the space of the week at under 14, 16, and obviously 18 levels. So yet again, it is by arrangement, contractual it is, and we would want to have more tournaments of that nature developing. But remember that in schools, every term there are different sports codes. So for example, we then compete with football within that's winter sports. And traditionally, Zimbabwe is a footballing loving nation.
Yes.
So we are competing with those kind of sport codes in order to attract to rugby. First term is always athletics, third term is always swimming, and so on. So it is something that we encourage. More partners can come on board, more tournaments can be looked at. But like I said, it has been by arrangement with a particular group or institution.
Oh, okay. And now coming to the Barthes Cup. We hear there are chances that we could be hosting the Barthes Cup for the second time running. Maybe if you can give us an update on that.
Yes, currently only last week did we receive confirmation from Rugby Africa that they've said Zimbabwe would like you to host this tournament yet again.
Yes.
So we will be holding the Barthes trophy
Yes.
from the 17th to the 28th of April. Yet again, we will have Namibia, Kenya, Tunisia, and of course Zimbabwe playing in that tournament. Yes. Remember, last year at home we were second best.
Yes.
The previous year we had beaten them in Kenya.
Yes.
So we want to say, come and see the talent that our coaches, our technical team are working with. Yes. And yet again, let us try and win this Barthes trophy again. It's done well for the nation. It's done well for rugby. Yes. So I think it is something that will benefit our youngsters going forward to encourage them to stay in the game of rugby.
And how much does this tournament go in terms of helping Rugby Union of Zimbabwe popularize the sport, bring sports tourism, and as well maintaining visibility out there?
In the simple sense that, remember that our under 19-20 boys are at school. Yes. So already that zeal is there, that excitement is there. So what this tournament does is afford the lads to understand now that, hey, you're now going to that big bad world, so to say, and you need to showcase your talent for you to be scouted by various clubs between all shores of all continents. So it gives us that opportunity to do so. And at a Rugby Africa perspective, it also shows the amount of talent that is available in those 4 countries, for example, the top tier. The whole idea is that this year we were hoping to have women as well. Yes. But obviously hosting such tournaments also comes with budgets. Yes. And our grants are limited, as I said to you. So trying to find sponsorship to ensure that we also have accommodate, look after female teams over a period of 11 days can be quite taxing. Okay. So we will concentrate on the men this year again. But going forward, we have said continue to support Zimbabwe. We will ensure that we will also have a women's competition within that Barthes trophy.
And now that you highlighted in passing the issue of budgets, restricting you to focus on men, when it comes to this Barthes Cup. So I wanted to find out, so far, according to your rough budgets, how much do you need for you to host this cup?
Well, great. Ballpark figure
Yes.
is anything between 80,000 and 127, 28,000 is what we actually need
Yes.
to host this tournament. Because remember that you've got to transport teams, accommodate teams, feed teams, including match officials, for a period of 12 days. So if you're looking at it, you're looking at about maximum probably 120, 130,000, but as low as...
And so far, how much do you have in your coffers?
We are looking at a different approach this year.
Yes.
As opposed to going to hotels, because it's a junior boys tournament.
Yes.
We are trying to partner with schools so we can get friendly schools that will offer us cheaper accommodation,
Yes.
who offer us obviously use of their buses, and then of course we then provide the meals and all other necessities.
Yes.
Because Rugby Africa will fly in our other participating guests, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So we are currently working on it. We'll have a board meeting at the end of this month,
Yes.
where we'll be discussing and finalizing the issues that you are raising at the moment.
Okay. And with such a busy calendar, we saw last season some players retracing their steps back to Zimbabwe. And when we have such a busy calendar, it shows that there is something that you're doing right as the Rugby Union of Zimbabwe. Are you expecting more players to be tracing their footsteps back home?
Absolutely. You must know that the coach has done a phenomenal effort of reaching out with his team to players across the divide and saying them, this is an opportunity. You will always find this, if history will serve you right.
Yes.
Every time we have a World Cup qualifier, that's when we get a lot of influx.
Yes.
Thereafter, it tends to dwindle, but we have made concerted efforts to reach out to as many people as we can. And you know that the Disabled Trust has members in there that obviously are well connected in terms of having played the sport, who are still in touch with a lot of the players, whether they're in the USA, Australia, UK, South Africa. So they have also played a voluntary but crucial role in encouraging youngsters to come back and play for Zimbabwe.
Okay. And also looking at the Africa Cup 2025,
Yeah.
In terms of preparations, how much have we done and what's left?
There's always a lot there's always more you can do, but you don't want your players to peak too early. So currently, January and February and beginning of March, they'll be in the gym, and they are in the gym, currently working on their fitness and conditioning. And then of course they'll have a couple of preparatory games when we can get local boys to actually play, because our season actually starts in March for the senior men's. And then when it comes closer to it, we will have obviously a camp where we invite all other players from outside to come in, because there are contractual obligations with clubs that players have, so we can't be breaching those. So our local boys will continue to train and play, and then closer to the time they'll have considered probably 2 to 3 week camp. We will also have game time involved, and then at that point we believe that they'll have peaked enough for them to go and take this trophy again.
Okay. And maybe the revival of the National Rugby League, if you can maybe unpack it for us.
Yes, that is something that we discussed at board level.
Yes.
We have now set up a committee that will look into that, headed by a board member, to look at how best this can be done. And this will obviously incorporate the several provinces that we are currently playing in, which is Manicaland, Bulawayo Metro, Midlands, Harare. And then, of course, that committee has been tasked with looking at how best to bring together or let us revive a National Rugby League. But currently still provincial structures, games will be played in each individual province, and hopefully will culminate maybe not this year, or hopefully this year, a semi-final or final of some sort, and then hopefully a fully fledged league by next year. To be too much for us to ask that this will happen immediately, because it starts in March. Maybe a few games this year across the region, but I'm looking at maybe 2026 as the full launch of a national rugby league. Should it happen this year? Great. It will have its obviously a few stops and starts, but fully understanding that 2026 is where we need to really start a fully fledged National Rugby League.
Okay, and looking at a union that's more of running on a financial constraint, do you have the budget specific for the revival of this National League, or you are going to go out there and also look for sponsors who are going to come specifically for that project?
We'll have to look for sponsors.
Okay.
We'll have to look. Like I said, the money we do get, and I'll be very honest with you, we get 100,000 pounds, which I said must cater for administration, participation, which is really your developmental side of things, must look after the women, must look after training and education, which is something that we are trying to encourage. I know last year we had set a target of reaching 1,000 coaches. We almost got there, but this year is yet again, and we're using the school system, the school teachers and coaches to encourage them to register and of course be certified. So all that needs to be catered for on 100,000 pounds. Not possible. So to answer your question, we will have to look for sponsorship to actually fund that National Rugby League.
Okay. So when we talk about going to look for sponsorship, how have you managed to package yourselves as a product that can actually attract trust from these corporates to say, guys, vanoda ku revive the National League, let's assist them?
You must know that even if you come to a rugby game, it's very family orientated.
Yes.
So what we then provide is a fun-filled day of entertainment without the obscenities and what you'd get at other sports. I will not mention which ones in particular.
Yes.
But at the same time, what we've done is that our core values is something that we are driven by. We live by them every day, which is your passion, integrity, love of the sport. So those are some of the things that help us and what people see. So when our men and ladies are out there, you even see the way we carry ourselves, the way we speak, to the public. We are not known for, airing our dirty laundry in public.
Yes.
So that as well assists and helps when sponsors are looking at rugby and saying, well, hang on, they seem to be an organized lot of people. So that helps us a great deal. And I'm saying to you, you must remember that a lot of these corporates, traditional as they might be, have either played the game of rugby or would like to encourage the game of rugby to be played within their organizations. So it does help a great deal.
Okay. And looking at most corporates in terms of Nyaema endorsements and having athletes as my brand ambassadors, we don't usually see that kuma sports. Most of them actually prefer working nima artists compared to athletes. What do you feel could be the reasons for them to more shun my athletes preferring kushanda nima artists?
Well, if my research serves me correctly, I think Econ at one stage actually moved away from sport, from doing groups, and actually went to individuals, where they're endorsing individuals. Yes. And rugby, they've done the same, or most companies are starting to do the same thing. With this drive of wellness, we'll find that there are companies out there that are still willing and wanting to endorse individuals. We have ambassadors for rugby that have done so well for us. I'll give you an example of the captain Hilton Mudariki of the Sables, who's done very well. So yet again, it is just about encouraging them to let them know that, listen, having an ambassador is good for your business. For example, we have certain companies that will actually take on board several of our individuals from rugby and use them as their storyboard for their companies. And it has worked a great deal for us.
Yeah, now that we touched on the Mwana group, we touched on the issue of reviving the National Rugby League and the national teams, what's going to be happening this year. So maybe if you can maybe sum up for the fans so that they understand the major events that you have this year and they can rally the support.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Look, we do have an exciting year ahead of us. As rugby, we always say that we start early and finish late. So this year, for example, we have a tour coming in for under-20s in preparation for Barthes. So we've got an Australian team coming in. They'll be playing in Bulawayo, because we try to also decentralize the playing of rugby so that it's not just limited to Harare. So that will be happening. We've got the Barthes Trophy in earnest in April. We've got 3 major competitions in April, which is the Barthes, the Mwana Group Festival, as well as what used to be called the Pure or Derby Day tournament that will be running. As you know, we then also have our Sables playing out or going back to Uganda in July. We will always have our fair weather friends Zambia coming in to give us game time, both our men and women, and we will go there as well. Our school's calendar will not change, it will remain the same. And then, of course, at the end of the year, we look forward to our ladies then participating in the Africa Cup. Our men will do so earlier on in the year, but our ladies in the Africa Cup, where we do hope that we will spring a step and actually go back to where we used to be, which was 4th out of 12 nations in Zimbabwe. But it's again, our initiatives, our drives still carry on with getting to rugby as well as tag. And we encourage that academies are forming, that every weekend there is always something exciting at rugby. It is a clean sport. Yes. We are under a drive of ensuring that we are, with the national policy of, staying away from drugs and making people aware. We are relatively a clean sport. I'm not saying we don't have our issues, yes, but it is a sport where you can actually enjoy it as a family. Yes. So come out here, support us. And if you need further details, always get in touch with yourselves or directly with ourselves, and we'll ensure that we are open enough to come out and engage with you, whether you're a non-traditional playing area or a current playing school, province. We also encourage that any game has to have match officiating. Yes. So those that are not able to play actively, you can still take part in either officiating at the game, yes, and of course we've got a medical side to it, we've got a media side to it, so there's always room for each and every person within Zimbabwe, within rugby, so we'd encourage you to do so. But okay, yeah, I think that is what I'd have to say.
So with these women having the Africa Cup coming, in terms of preparation, since my financial constraints are so, what are they doing towards the preparation in Africa Cup?
Well, the women are exciting. At the end of last year, the chairperson herself has gathered together a group of like-minded individuals with her committee, and have really hit the ground running in ensuring that they're looking at budgets and how best they can support the women. Fortunately, it's towards the end of the year, but in between, they will always piggyback off the men when we have tournaments such as the Zambezi Challenge, any local competitions. And unfortunately, because we have 15s and 7 seasons, we start with the 15s, and our girls are in tuned to play 15s, but we want to get a group of people that we say specifically, your role is to just play 7s and concentrate on 7s. So they've hit the ground running, and I can assure you that this year round, they will have the adequate resources in order for them to participate at Africa Cup.
So this time, because they have the resources.
They will have the resources. Yes. I can guarantee you that they will have everything they need to ensure that they perform at the best possible stage.
Okay.
But game time is the most important.
Yeah, I think you did justice, sir. Thank you so much for having us here, and I just hope that the word gets out there. We are going to see so much support this time around for rugby, because we have got such a busy and exciting calendar. So, guys, it's now up to us to come and support rugby. See you next week, same time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.